What's up, everybody? I am Renford Thomas, otherwise known as Mr. Bojangles, member of the community. So wear so many titles, so many hats. I am to you who you say I am to you. And it's so tough to talk about what I do because for me, I think I'm just living life. But I do a lot, right? So I'm a coach, I'm a parent, I'm in the music industry, I'm in the entertainment industry, I'm also in the legal field, and I'm just a member of the community as well. So again, I wear a lot of hats. I'm into a lot of things, and my main thing is I love people. I love entertainment, and I just love people. Those are the things that just keep me ticking. And I think because of that love for people, it allows me to be able to be in different entities and to be in the different platforms and different arenas, just because I'm a student of life. I enjoy learning. I enjoy vicariously living through other people's experiences and just having those conversations. So that's a little bit of who I am. I was very fortunate. I say this all the time to individuals. The pandemic for me was a blessing. I was able to embark on new journeys. I was, especially on my work level, I was getting involved in union work. On sports level, I happened to rupture my Achilles, so it took me out of actively participating in sports, which was pretty great because not a lot of things were going on at that time anyhow, but it allowed me to step more into a coaching role. And like a real coaching role, instead of watching me watch what I do, it's really, okay, how can I bring the best out of this individual? Let me articulate it. Let me break it down and build a foundation for individuals. I was very fortunate my job wasn't affected, so I had financial stability. The pandemic for me was, I have a very different experience than a lot of people, but it was great for me. I always call the pandemic for me the great revealer. Like the veil was removed off of a lot of things. We had a lot of distractions in our life beforehand, and we were forced to confront ourselves. We were forced not to be able to, gloss over things because of the distractions that we're going through, and we're just forced to look at our situations. Were we happy in our jobs? Were we happy in our families? Were we happy in the lifestyle that we were in? And in understanding that, what were we willing to do after we found that revelation? Whatever it was, good, bad, ugly, and different, what were we willing to do? Were we going to pivot? Were we going to transition into something else? Were we just going to stay in and fester in where we were? What were we going to do? I think everyone has a different opinion, but for me, again, like the pandemic was great for me in certain levels, but it was horrible in other levels as I'm actually just thinking about it. Because there was a huge disconnect during the pandemic as well. The family separation. The pandemic was one thing. In the beginning of the pandemic, when we had nowhere to go, and we were cooped up in our house and there was curfews and businesses were closed, we were just happy to see another individual. We were happy to have human contact again. Everyone was jogging and, baking and cooking and, these things. And it was different. And then all of a sudden the vaccine stuff came in. And you started seeing separations. You started seeing division. You started seeing this person was against that person because we might not think the same. The restrictions of how many people were allowed in your home. And I'm big on family dinners. I'm big on the holiday get-togethers. But now we were put in a position where it's like you have to be selective of who is allowed to come, who is going to be invited. And I found that to be very sad. I had a couple of individuals who were hospitalized and a couple of people who actually passed away during the pandemic. And when I look back at it and knowing that only so many amount of visitors were allowed in at one time, you couldn't have all of your family in the room. I'd go and I'd visit people and it was lonely. because the nurses weren't even coming into the room. So now they're literally in this bed by themselves, but they're in earshot of everything that's going on in the hallway and all the conversations that are going on in the hallway, but they're not a part of it. So it was very lonely as well for some individuals, and I didn't know what I could do about that. You know, there's only so much I could visit, but in the 24-hour day span, and I was there for an hour and a half, 2 hours, another 22 that this person has to go through. Okay, granted, maybe 6, 8 of them, they're sleeping, you know, but that's another 16, 14 hours that they're just there by themselves in a bed, not able to do things. So that part of the pandemic, you know, really hurt my heart. Again, people passing away and not being able to send your condolences or attend a wake or attend a funeral, you know, and people were very lonely, you know, or they died alone, literally. So, you know, that part of it I didn't embrace. So on one hand, it was great in terms of career and personal life. I'm very, like I said, I'm very community oriented, and I know that there's people who came before me. They have created a pathway for me, and to see like all of their works and everything that they have done, now at the end of their life, they're by themselves, and you can't really express your thanks and your gratitude. You know, that definitely hit me in a negative fashion. I mean, resilience on so many levels. I believe resilience is, if we're talking about the definition of it, is being able to overcome the situation and the circumstance that you're in, whatever that looks like. And it's a continuous process. I believe resilience isn't a thing that you're resilient in this one thing and it stops there. It's a continuing process. I believe resilience has to do with identifying issues, identifying who you are, finding resources that can take you out of the situation, being able to look back at that particular situation and how did I get into that predicament? How did I feel when I was in it? What did I do while I was in it? What did I do to get out of it? And once I'm out of it, looking back at that whole thing, what did I learn? How can I help share what I went through so somebody else doesn't have to go through that experience as well? I think with resilience, we all experience it differently. I think with every individual that just is out here, we all have different pain thresholds. We all have different knowledge. We all have different desires to be resilient. Some people don't want to be resilient. Some people, you know, would rather just complain about the problem and complain about it, don't want to get out of it, right? So what comes to my mind with resilience for me, like I said, is just overcoming, is getting beyond, is not staying in any particular state. It's a desire and a willingness to want better, to want more. It's maybe even that aha moment where it's like, nah, this isn't happening. And it just clicks, and then you start changing and pivoting and doing things differently. Resilient, that's just this is a really tough one. This is a tough question. Resilience as well is not always just individual. Sometimes it can be team resilience, a number of family resilience. It could be, you know, just multiple people. I think right away I'm thinking about sports, right? So how is a team resilient? How did you adjust your game plan because things weren't going your way in order to be successful? What do you define as being successful? Is it getting the win, or is it cutting this deficit in half and losing by less? Or was it developing an experience, somebody coming out of their shell and being able to just have a skill or showcase a talent that they in themselves may not have known was possible? So, you know, it's that the internal struggles, the internal battles that we have sometimes as well. just being able to overcome those. So I guess resilience for me, it really comes down to I'm equating it or really pairing it with overcoming. And I think that however you overcome and however long you got to go through something to ultimately overcome that situation, I think is what will define your resilience. You know, it might be easier than others. Some situations it might be different, but I think it's the overcoming. Yeah, I think just the end of this interview, we're just talking about resilience. We're talking about pandemic. The number one thing I'll say is just know yourself. You know, we got to get in tune with who we are, who we truly are, what our desires are, what things that hold us down, what are those things that make us cry, things that make us sad, things that make us want to give up. I think every individual truly needs to just understand who they are and be kind to themselves, love themselves, and know that nothing in this world is perfect. So, well, there's a very, very few things that are perfect, but you know, you might not always feel the best, but you gotta love yourself, because when you're by yourself in any situation, you're the only person who's speaking to yourself. If you're speaking negative words into yourself, it's gonna manifest. If you speak positive words, it's gonna manifest. If you procrastinate in everything that you do, nothing's gonna get done. If you develop a plan, then it is gonna get done, but it still comes back down to knowing yourself. Where is it that you wanna be? What is it that you wanna do? How is it that you wanna do that, right? So I just believe that we have to get to know ourselves. We have to spend time with ourselves. We have to know what makes us tick. And again, be kind to ourselves, knowing that we're gonna make mistakes, we're gonna falter. It's part of life. What did you learn from it, right? There's no losses in life. Either you win or you learn, right? So continue to learn. Continue to know yourself, get to know your surroundings, get to know the people who are around you. Continue just to build up, because we are here to evolve. We're not here as a one individual and that's where we're gonna stay. We started as a zygote, right? And then we developed into, you know, infants and then toddlers and teenagers and adulthood. But we're always changing, we're always evolving. So there's no need for us to beat ourselves up. You know, you made a mistake, or okay, learn from it. All right, you were fantastic and incredibly successful. How do you continue to be successful? Right? So just continue to learn, continue to spend time with yourselves, be good to yourselves, be kind to yourselves, love yourself.